Welcome back to the Tasty Crypto Show. I'm Dan Cecilia, filling in for Ryan Grace, and with me today is a very special guest, crypto options savant and founder of Panoptic crypto options platform, Guillaume Lambert. What's up, Guillaume? Thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, very good. And how are you?
Good. I'm really excited to have you on. We love hearing from crypto options experts and just getting your take on the market and what you've been doing. And so, let's get into it. Take us on your crypto journey. How did you get started in crypto?
Yeah, this was kind of 2017 is when I first got exposed to crypto. In my previous life, I was in academia. So I was actually an assistant professor in applied physics at Cornell University. So tenure track position, very, very top of the chain, if you want, which I was interested in technology. So Bitcoin, I heard about it quite early on, didn't latch on. So I guess I regret this decision to this day. But Ethereum and kind of promise of smart contracts, which is this other blockchain, was very enticing to me. I got started trading CryptoKitties, which is an app that was a bit viral in 2017. But overall, just was interested in crypto for me, scientific interest. What I was able to do is to use the chain, understand kind of the protocols. You can lend, you can trade, you can swap, you can do a lot of the regular options, the regular kind of financial activities, but on chain, which is kind of this parallel system. And through that activity, I was able to figure out, all right, I want to trade options. I'm a tasty trader myself. Never got to trade options on crypto. It was very, very early on, 2020, 2021. And even if you try to trade now, it's very illiquid. You have Deribit, you have the big centralized exchanges, but nothing on chain, which is where I lived for the first few years there. So the key point is that I got to a point where I pretty much decided to start my own company to create options on digital assets. I was able to kind of latch onto one way that we think works very well on chain, in a way that you cannot necessarily do on a centralized exchange or even on kind of the CBO. You cannot do options on Panoptic, the Panoptic options on CBO, because we can do options on any asset. Could be a meme coin, could be Bitcoin, could be different stable coins. So that journey from assistant professor of physics to tasty trader, eventually to being a founder, was just me wanting to trade options. And again, I'm using the interface myself quite a bit to trade options now that we've been live. And yeah, I'm enjoying quite a bit. So it's a very personal platform. We drew a lot of inspiration from Tasty Trade and TT Works back then. But yeah, now it's live. And again, I think I'll show it later. But yeah, it's a long journey, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think your story is very it's very similar to a lot of the coworkers here or just other personalities we have on the shows. Very much deep in the weeds, maybe academia or quant, mathematics, physics background, fell in love with options through what we do here at Tasty, and then sort of found your niche in crypto. I'm curious on two things. Number one, when you were trading on Tasty, did you just trade equity options? Were you a futures options guy? Like what was in TradFi, what was your go-to?
Yeah, mostly ETFs, a few options for specific equities, futures, man. So I got wrecked. I think it was corn futures in a weird way, like in 2021 when it was moving relentlessly. And then my wife looked at our tax return and said, what the hell is this? So I'm staying away from futures.
Okay.
I do trade it once in a while. The VXM, so the micro VX, just to hedge for but nothing on that option side.
Yeah, everyone's got to know their limits, right? Everyone's got to know their limits. So
freaking corn, I was like, this is not something that should be dangerous, but it's a huge size. And then I definitely got caught.
Okay, so with that, maybe commodity futures aren't your thing, but what's your approach to trading crypto markets? Are you only Bitcoin? Are you a meme coin guy? What's your approach there?
Yeah, so the way that Panoptic works, it works with any coins. And people were, in a weird way, selling options on these meme coins. Again, selling options is very dangerous. And again, if you're not covered, can be very, very large losses. But there's a little niche in the blockchain world, which allows you to swap easily. And you need a liquidity provider on the other side that is selling options. No one knew about this. No one realized it was selling options. Everyone got wrecked. But then again, with my experience from Tasty Trade, I was able to say, okay, this is like an option selling in a weird way. No one asked for it, but this is just what we got delivered. And I was trading options, selling options on these meme coins, a little bit of Bitcoin, but surprisingly doesn't move that much. It's like very like mid-tier volatility compared to meme coins. But a lot of what it was doing is meme coins. Again, Shiba Inu, you can trade it on tastytrade, but you have this whole spectrum of coins. Meme coins, quite a bit. Few of these DeFi protocols. So protocols, instead of having a stock or an IPO, they do like token launches. You can trade on them as well. And mostly ETH as well as the kind of Ethereum is the platform I use. So this is where I was trading or selling these options back then. And it's in a protocol called Uniswap, but anyway, this is kind of what I do as well on Panoptic. You can do any options, mostly focus on ETH, but then the medium to long tail definitely something I do.
Interesting. And so you speak about like Shiba Inu, Doge, obviously these are coins we have on our platform. What are you looking for there? Are you looking for like elevated IV? Are you looking for like high premiums that you can kind of like sell covered calls against? What is that specific approach, specifically like Shiba Inu, Doge, or those meme coins?
Exactly. So these have extremely high implied volatilities.
Okay.
People are a bit scared of selling options on those, so they stay away. So you can actually contribute quite a bit, and the market means that these meme coins have 200, 300% IV in this weird way, and then a lot of that signal is okay. What's the IV? I had to compute the IV from like it's not shown on anywhere, so early on I just had to compute it and show it on my computer. But this is the entry point. IV, the same way that it's IV rank say on tastytrade, I use IV as the signal. Same thing with even BTC and Ethereum. Look at IV rank, IV percentile, and like look at these kind of transitions that says okay. Market is moved, liquidity is drying up. This is a good time to jump in.
Gotcha. Yeah, and what specifically like what's your signal? Like, is it a certain range? Is it a rank? Like, what are you looking at there? Like that okay, the IV is really high on this. I feel like this is mispriced. Let me go in. Let me collect some of that premium. What is that trigger for you?
Yeah, it's IV rank. It's a similar like 30 IV rank. Again, drew inspiration from you guys. It's definitely something that I pay attention to, and that's a threshold. It's not research by any means, but I'm just using this as a starting point. Okay. And as you mentioned, the strategies, I would actually create straddles. I would not create covered calls. I don't want to get stuck with that meme coin, So I would borrow or short part of the meme coin to have something was a bit more neutral, or even fully bearish, where I would short all of it, make money on the way down, but also earn premium on the way down at like 200% IV. Yeah.
Because I feel like being in the crypto markets too, you see it's like, okay, these things shoot up. They have crazy, IV, crazy volatility. It's pretty obvious they're going to come back down to earth. So like you said, it being able to express a straddle or like a market neutral, even to the downside, is probably the way to play some of these, especially when they go parabolic for a couple days. It's like somebody's cashing out. So it is fun because I think like in comparing it to traditional markets, there's not a lot of edge, right? Like or there is, but you need to be like a big funded, big pocketed whale essentially. Whereas in crypto, these opportunities exist for smaller accounts, I think. And it's very simple kind of like rules, similar to what we follow here at Tasty, IV rank, and just, putting on risk-defined spreads. So it's really interesting that you're able to express that and do that on chain. So Bitcoin's been pretty big, right? Recently, we got Bitcoin conference going on this week out in Vegas. Sailor MicroStrategy's buying more tranches of Bitcoin. GameStop just announced they're going to buy Treasury, and a bunch of other companies are kind of following the Sailor playbook. So I think this cycle's Bitcoin. So I want to know what your current thoughts are on Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin market, and if you do have a trade idea for us, can you share that?
Yeah, sure. I'd say that again, Bitcoin is the leader in the crypto world. So again, we most of the folks that know about crypto, they know about Bitcoin and the meme coins, and that's it. But there's a huge ecosystem. And again, I'm the Ethereum world, but it's parallel to it. So Bitcoin, because of, as you say, the external buying pressure from sellers and all, is what's been moving it forward. So I do think it's still going to move up. So again, I'm from the US. We're extremely compliant. We want to follow the rules, but the new administration makes it a bit simpler and less scary, if you want, even to launch options. We won't get sued the same way that other options protocol were sued, sadly, a few years ago, because they launched without registering, but there's no path. So I think crypto as a whole is definitely on the upside path. Bitcoin has these external buying pressures that keeps the price moving. I don't know if it's going to stop at some point, but I'd say there's a ceiling. Again, I don't know if it's 150K or 200K, but there is a natural ceiling as to if you want to be exposed to Bitcoin. You've seen it, you've heard about it for now almost 20 years or 15 years. What do you do with it? And besides holding it or maybe doing the micro sale or trade, there's not that much more. And that's kind of where I do see there's a diminishing return, and again, could cap 150K to 200K, where after that, I do think the other blockchains, other technologies can also kind of rally back, because it's been extremely Bitcoin story since the beginning of the year, and even like a year ago, and now it's kind of maybe the time for the other blockchains to shine. So yeah.
I typically agree with that. I've been in the space just as long as you, 2016, 2017. I've seen a couple cycles, and I think the trend is, all right, everyone piles into Bitcoin. Everyone gets rich off Bitcoin. There's a wealth effect there. What do people do? They usually go farther out on the risk curve, right? So that flows into ETH. That might flow into Solana. That flows into your meme coins. NFTs of last cycle. That's kind of the trend, or rather the what we see play out in these markets. I think it's slightly different each time. We obviously have a clearer regulatory environment, a little bit more of a risk-on environment with Trump. Obviously, Trump launching his own DeFi project, World Liberty Financial. Everyone's piling in. Everyone wants Bitcoin. I'm noticing a trend too, and I don't know if you've seen this, Guillaume. Bitcoin yield products, right? Or like wrapped Bitcoin on Solana, or wrapped Bitcoin on another chain, right? There's now this like synthetic Bitcoin or wrapped Bitcoin that is being sent out, right, to different chains, or kind of the liquidity and the price action is moving out on the risk spectrum. So I do look for that going forward, where there's a rotation. Maybe it's into ETH, maybe it's into some of these layer twos, Solana for sure. I don't know, AI agents have taken off, right? There's a bunch of narratives out there, but it all flows back to Bitcoin, right? People get rich in Bitcoin. They want to speculate more. They want to go further out. Obviously we see how that plays out in other cycles. Hopefully this time it's different, but Bitcoin's the king, right? So I'm curious. I know you have Panoptic platform up. Can you show us like a trade, or rather, a lot of our clients, a lot of our customers, traders, they trade IBIT. IBIT's their thing. It's an ETF. It's easy to understand. It's familiar. You could trade options on it. I'm curious, how would you do a similar trade, or what are the differences between like an on-chain options trade and then something like IBIT?
Yeah, exactly. Again, I tried to look at IBIT earlier. IV rank is 15. I have a strangle open that expires on Friday, so I'm probably going to close it. So I also do the same trades as probably your audience. But as you said, there's on our platform can also do the same trade. So I don't know if I show what I mean as well is that it's a lot more transparent. So again, this interface might be boring, maybe, but the key point is that we can trade that wrapped version of Bitcoin that you talked about. Wrapped BTC lives on Ethereum. We can pair it with a stablecoin like USDC. Again, wrapped USD dollars, wrapped Bitcoin can now live and be traded. And what I'm showing here, this is the not quite the open interest, but this is the liquidity. And the same way that you could look at the open interest, and if you're really advanced, you can dig into the options chain and see kind of the surface almost manifesting itself. We see a similar thing on Bitcoin. And again, you can see there's a little bit more liquidity on the upside. The liquidity, it's the reverse. The more liquidity, it's not like high open interest, it's rather lower IV. And here you would see maybe some put skew. There's less liquidity on the downside, more liquidity on the upside. And it's a slightly different way of approaching it, but it is similar. You have what looks like a liquidity chart. We have an options chain as well. And if we want to say, hey, I want to buy the 105 call, similar to what we have. We have the delta. This is delta of 56. We have some open interest, and you can just simply buy it. And this is kind of the normal path for any kind of options chain. And we also make it very visual, so we don't want to have the options chain where it starts, but it's not where it ends, because we do want to have the payoff. Again, taking from tastytrade, I do use it every once in a while to look at my break-even points, look at where the liquidity, this is the existing liquidity. You can interact with it, same with tastytrade, and you can change the strike. So that is kind of where you can come in, buying a call, you can actually see the liquidity, and that would be where you see the payoff. And in that case, 50 delta call is not what I do typically. Definitely not tastytrade. So you can choose different strategies, and you can say, same way as before, you can do a strangle. You can also choose your range. You can choose the price, and maybe I do the 110 strangle, a little bit more bullish. And as simple as that, as long as you have collateral, as long as you're maybe not from the US, you're able to trade these. And again, that's kind of what the trading interface is doing, for our users.
Yeah, for that specific one, you're showing like a short strangle here. Is that something you find works for you? Like if you're trading yourself, you like these strangles that kind of are risk defined, and sort of you play like a range almost? Yeah,
exactly. So it's easy to sell. And again, Panoptic works in a different way, and maybe the one mind-blowing fact is that our options don't expire. There's no expiry. We somewhat make it work, but you don't have the end of the month or the dailies. It's perpetual options.
Sure.
That's one weird change, but again, it's not something that you can trade on tastytrade, but allowing to do it on the blockchain means you can have perpetual options, and you can sell as many as you want. There's no ceiling in the amount you can sell. You don't need a market maker. You don't need someone to cross you can serve this. So selling perpetual options, you can sell as much as you want, millions if you want in a single trade. Buying options, similar. You don't have an expiry. You had to buy something that's been sold before. So you need to have some level of kind of two-sidedness. But for selling, because it's much simpler to sell at any strike, at any size, this is what I do mostly. I manage my risk by understanding kind of maybe sizing and also how to manage this. But you could still buy, it could be an iron condor, for instance. You can still buy the wings and create something that has defined risks, knowing how much you lose, max profit at whichever price, and then you can go from there. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay, and so with the perpetual, we've talked about perpetuals before on the show. Is there like a funding rate for this, or is it just like, are you paying a premium? What is like, how does, with no expiry, how does this kind of work?
Exactly. So you pay a funding rate. It's similar to a perpetual, which is you condense the quarterly expiries into an hour or a day for perps. We do the same thing. Our options don't expire in a month. They expire every minute, but they're rolled forward by 1 minute at a time. So the best way to think about this is that you trade a weekly option, and every day you buy it back and sell another weekly. You move this, and you're perpetually 7 days from expiring. And that's the best maybe framework for those that do options. So that means that when you close your position and rebuy it, maybe you make some money, the funding rate is positive. Maybe you lose some money because of the ID expanded. Now you lose, you have this kind of instantaneous rebalancing cost, but that's how it works. You sell a put option, you get paid $0 up front, and the more you keep it on, the more you make money if you want. The more you accumulate this premium. We call this the streaming premium.
Gotcha.
Which is, yes.
So premium, but streaming because it's perpetual. Interesting. Okay.
Exactly.
So we have a couple minutes left. I have two things that I want to get to, but the first is with your current users. I see you have a leaderboard there. Do you have like a point system? Is there any like incentives to trade on Panoptic? For maybe non-US customers.
Yeah, for sure. So we do points. We want to attract trading, want to attract the good type of trading, which is selling options mostly. So we award points for activity that benefits the system. If you're a seller, if you're a depositor, if you do a trade which is kind of risk defined, we allow you to get more points. So this is kind of a whole system in place. We've been running this since launch in December. But those that are trading get a points balance, and then this is how we incentivize. It's like airline points, but maybe this one has real value at the end of the day attached to it. And we have, again, hundreds of people, but each one is earning points by doing different activities. But yeah, we also did a trading competition over the past few weeks, where we had people trade for 2 weeks. It was the ETH markets, and ETH was actually very, very huge upswing. So in 2 weeks, someone made 150%, 80%, 40% on buying calls mostly, but being directionally right.
Right.
And this is something that we'll keep running. We'll have these competitions kind of going, so that we had a small prize, I guess, cash prize, but then we just want to have people try it out. 100% deposit minimum, so you don't have kind of the worry of losing all your funds. But yeah, we allow this to work. So competition and points for those that want to try it out.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I think I always the crypto stuff. People love competitions. They love challenges. They love like incentives. It's a little bit harder to do in traditional finance, but definitely something a lot of crypto platforms do. So I definitely need to hop on and see if I can get on and maybe do something there. So before we let you go, we got a couple minutes left. I always ask all our guests, what's your one bold prediction you have for Bitcoin or crypto broadly over the next year?
Yeah, so I again, Bitcoin, I like it. It's the granddaddy of all crypto, but I'm definitely a maybe altcoin, but again, Ethereum guy, Solana guy. I do think that the platforms which enable a protocol like Panoptic, or again, Uniswap, where you can kind of get rid of the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, get rid of the SIBO as an intermediary, and do it all with these platforms. And it used to be, again, as you said, NFTs, meme coins, very retail focused. And my most bullish prediction is that institutions or crypto native funds, those that have a lot of funds, they understand risks, they will need a place to hedge and need a place to kind of make this funds work for them. So again, you can trade options in a way that works very well for Panoptic. But I feel like institutions are maybe missing the risk management part of crypto. It's all very, very risky. And it's getting more mature, but besides options, you can trade, maybe hedge with perps, but this is not even working well. So the broad market will definitely convert some of their assets to the blockchain and Ethereum and Solana. But yeah, the use cases, making it more mature, making it more with options, with hedging, with kind of prime brokerage type of offering, portfolio margining, is where we can attract these institutions, which probably don't see an advantage. Again, they don't want to trade NFTs or meme coins. They just want to do what they do in TradFi, but traditional finance, but do it with digital assets. So I do think that these altcoins will definitely recapture kind of the next year's kind of bull run that's coming for the institution side.
Yeah. So with that, do you have a price prediction for Bitcoin, ETH, Solana? Can you give us one?
Yeah, so Bitcoin, I think 150K is my mental stop. I think that's going to be like where people start noticing, and if broader population notices, then it's going to stop. So 150K, Ethereum, big Ethereum proponent myself. We've seen 40% in like a few weeks ago. I do think we have maybe 3x more. So I do think 6,000 or 7,000 ETH, Ethereum, new all-time highs. We're due for this for sure. And Solana, it's the little cousin, I guess, a bit more hyperactive, lots of activity, but I think they played it well last cycle, but maybe another 2x, so maybe 400, or I don't know what it is at, but I would say that 400 Solana, 7,000, let me bullish, ETH, and 150K Bitcoin.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope it makes it there, please. For my bag's sake, please let that come true. So
you can,
yeah,
that's right. You can. A lot of what you do is your bags, right? There's nothing to do with them. Again, me shilling again, but yeah, options. You can generate yield, sell covered calls. You can do a lot more with options that, again, the folks at TC Live and TC Trade know about that you cannot do on chain yet. So that's kind of the big position as well.
Well, there you have it. Thanks so much, Guillaume. Appreciate you coming on. We'll have to have you on again and just kind of get an update from you on where everything is. And thanks again. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Well, that's it. We'll be back next Monday. Ryan will be back, and that's all we have today. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.